Hey, you guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. We are going to get into a trade that I took on Wednesday, January the 14th at 10:30 a.m. Okay, in the markets on MNQ. So let's get straight into the analysis. Okay, so we go through our analysis step by step of what I did, but not only that, our system is set up in steps. Okay, we know exactly what we're doing at each point before we get into the trade, and it's the same thing every single time. Okay, so the first one is find the trend. Here we have a bearish trend. Okay, so the market is making lower highs and lower lows in the market. So as we can see here, we have lower highs, and we have lower lows in the market, which lets us know that we are in, and those lines are so crooked, please forgive me, which lets us know that we are in a bearish trend, which means that automatically our trade bias is going to be for sales. Okay, I know a lot of traders, they do top-down analysis, and depending on if they're swing traders or scalpers or intraday traders, they will base their bias off of the higher time frames. But since I am a scalper, I find it like more logical to base my bias off of the smaller time frame, because that is what I'm trading on. And typically I'm looking to get in and out of the market really quick. I am just riding the wave of what price is doing at this particular moment. Okay, ideally 5 to 20 minutes in a trade and I'm done. Okay, so after we have determined the trend direction, we are now going to look for either supply or demand zones. Okay, demand zones, that is what we are looking for when we have determined that the trend is bullish. Supply zones are what we look for when we have determined that the trend is bearish. Okay, so for a bullish trend and for demand zones, those candles are red. For a bearish trend, the supply zones are what we're looking for, and those candles are green. Okay, so all of the green candles are supply zones. Supply zone here, supply zone here, supply zone here, supply zone here, supply zone here. We are looking for the most recent supply zone after break of the candle. Okay, so once this green candle has been broken by a bearish candle, then that is the supply zone that I'm going to mark up, that I would like for price to come back to, tap that supply zone, and then continue for sales. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, we are going to mark up this supply zone here. And now that is where we are looking for price to come back and tap this zone. Now, at this point, I did go and look at higher time frames because I do a bottom up analysis. Okay, a lot of traders do top down, I do bottom up. So I do go and look at the higher time frames to let me know if I need to hold on to a trade, like if once my trade starts going in my direction, if I'm going to go for further than a 1-to-1, or if I am just going to go for a 1-to-1 in that trade and be happy with that. So I start with the hour. Okay, this is a huge bearish candle. Okay, selling pressure is massive, which since sellers came in so heavily, I just already have it in my mind that price is going to reverse and buyers are going to step in at some point. Okay, but not right now. That is not where my mind is thinking. That is not what I'm basing my my bias off of. Okay, I am not going to bet on buys anytime soon, because that is not what I'm seeing the trend is doing on the on the smaller time frame. Okay, so once I see this, I already know I'm going in for a 1-to-1. Okay, but let's look. I go from the 1 hour to the 4 hour, see what it's doing there. Okay, now we have two huge bullish red candles. That just further confirms for me that buyers are probably going to step in at some point, and that price is going to reverse. But I'm still not going to be betting for buys, because sellers are still heavily influencing price. And so that's where I'm at. Okay, because I'm a scalper, that is where my mind is at. So, and then I will go to the day, but in this case, it's not really necessary because I know I'm not holding for more than a 1-to-1. Okay. Now also I will put this in here because I see that price is moving heavily towards the downside and that it's probably going to make a reversal soon. I want to look at market structure. Because I am anticipating a reversal at some point, I am now looking to see where could price possibly be reversing and avoiding that area, or just making sure that I'm getting out before that area comes. Okay. Also, market structure is going to let me know when the bet, or it can let me know when a safe place to get in the market would be, because we are dealing with such heavy momentum to the downside. I want to know if price is going to continue to push that way, or if there is something on the charts that will let me know or give me an indication that price wants to continue to keep pushing down. Okay, we are going to use this in conjunction with the supply and demand zone strategy, as well as break of the candle. Okay, so what I did is I just ended up zooming out and I said, where is price? Where do I see resistance with price and where do I see support? Okay. Resistance is where price wants to push up and through, and it is not it's almost like a ceiling. Price is not pushing through a certain place point in the market. And so that creates resistance. So we can see that here. Okay. Price pushed up. Let's see if I can get it. You can see that here. Okay. Price pushed up to this point and it did not want to go any further. So price ended up pushing down. This also happened here. Okay. Same thing. Price came to this exact same point and price did not want to continue to pushing up any further. So it pushed down, and same thing here. Okay. And this happens in the market and we call that consolidation, but depending on how big the range is, some people do trade consolidation, and you can make some good money because, as you can see, it's a pattern. Now we also have support. This is where price wants to, oh wait, sorry. This is where price wants to push down past, and it will not let, the price will not go past a certain point. Okay. It's almost like a floor. So as we can see right here, okay, a few times in this area, price wanted to push past this red line and it did not have enough sellers in the market to do so. So price pushed up and tested that resistance up top. Okay. And then it kind of happened here. It didn't quite touch, but it was close. Price pushed up. Oh, wait. Price pushed up and then, wait, no, right here. Okay, yeah, same thing. Price pushed up and then again, right here. Okay, didn't make it all the way down to that floor, but close enough. Price pushed up. Like I said, a lot of people trade consolidation depending on how big the range is, because it gets pretty predictable after 2, 3, 4 touches of price doing the same thing in this range. Okay, cool. So I was anticipating for price to touch this level, okay, to touch this support and make a reversal. However, I wanted to get my little slice of the pie still. So what I said, I said, okay, if price comes and closes below this support line, I will get in for a sell. I will get in for a sell because I know that after a while of price testing this support, if price continues to close outside of or below this line, that it's a very good chance that price will continue to sell in the market. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking all before, I even see if price is going to pull back to this supply zone. So I'm just getting myself set up mentally in the market. I'm getting myself set up, with my trade to know where I want to get in, where I want to get out, where I want to take profit. I think that sets people up to be very disciplined traders, right? Very proactive traders. And it's just going to enhance you in the long run, okay? Because this is a very disciplined what do I want to say? This is a very disciplined habit to have, to know where you want to get in, how you want to get in, where you want to get out, just in case the trade goes south, and where you want to take profit. I think that causes for a very disciplined trader. Okay. So let's just go ahead and see what price ends up doing. Okay. So as we can see, price pushed up heavily, still in the zone, closed within the zone. It did push out of the zone a little bit, but it's still closed inside the zone. Okay. This trade is still valid. If price were to close outside of this zone, right? So let's say this candle here actually closed outside of the zone, then this trade would be invalid. But since that did not happen, this trade is still valid, okay? And there was even more confirmation that price probably wanted to continue selling when this candle, when this candle closed inside the zone, okay? But obviously the next candle let us know that there's a lot of selling pressure, with price. So we are now looking to get in for sales. We're going to drop down to the 1 minute, and I'm going to tell you what we're looking for. Now, normally we would be getting in somewhere break of the candle. This honestly would not be a good area to get in for me. So, break of the candle is about here, here, and that's where we would get in. We are not talking about the wick. We are talking about the body breaking the body, okay? We are not talking about the wick on either one of these candles. The body of this candle has to break the body of this candle. But this candle barely closed outside of the zone. I mean, just barely closed outside of the zone. Technically, and I did not conjure this up before, I saw this. Technically, this is the candle that we would get on. This close of the candle, or this break of the candle. That is too long. And to be honest, if I was in this trade and I did not mark up this support, I would have probably used this candle, break of the candle, to get in the trade. And yes, it would have played out perfectly fine, but I wouldn't have been as confident in that trade at that point. Typically, I like to, somewhere in here that would be, comfortable, a comfortable place, position for me to get into the trade. And, we would be sitting back with our hands in our lap, with our nervous system not jumping around. But in this case, I did end up using the support line as the area where I wanted to get into the trade. Now, we're going to go ahead and play this trade, and I'm going to let you, I got into this trade a little late, and I'm going to let you know why. Okay, so price broke support. Anytime price breaks the area that I want to be broken for me to feel confident getting in, I need it to stay there. I don't need it to come and break the area and then completely wick out of the area, and now price is going in the opposite direction. No, we wait for the full candle to close. So that's what I did. Okay. I was patient, sat on my hands, waited for this full candle to close before I got into sales. And unfortunately, that's probably the most painful part, is watching a trade that you waited for, right? We're patient enough to mark up your zones, patient for it to pull back into your area, patient for it to close out of your zone for you to see it taken off without you. Like it's painful, but we stick to the plan, and that is just what we're going to do. Okay. So that is what we did. Once this candle closed, that is where I got in at. Okay. So we are going to use our short position tool. We're going to mark this area, pull this up here, and pull this down for a 1-to-1. Right? Okay, so that once we got in, now it's in God's hands. Okay, we might as well just relax and just let the trade play out, because it's out of our control. We did all of our rules. we followed all of our rules. We looked at the trend, created a bias from that trend. We found a supply zone. We marked up the supply zone. We waited for price to pull back to that supply zone. We waited for price to close out of that supply zone. And in this case, we waited for price to break support to let us know and give us confidence that we want to go in for sales. Boop. Okay. Now, I will say that I risked the most that I've ever risked on a trade, on this trade. And thank God it ended up playing out in our favor. But we're going to watch and see what price does. And let's see if we can speed this up just a bit. Okay, boom. You know, we had a little drawdown, just a tiny bit, but for the most part, price ended up playing out in our favor. Okay, so that is simply what we did in the markets. This was our biggest and best day that we've had so far during this 5K, or excuse me, during this 50K prop firm challenge, and I am just so excited. I am proud of myself. I will give myself a pat on the back. I've been following my rules. I've been taking my losses with grace. I have been practicing discipline on another level. I was already a pretty disciplined person, but I've really tightened it up during this prop firm challenge. And I am just so proud of myself. I am not speeding through this challenge. That is very, very intentional. I know that I probably could have passed, you know, a couple days, few days ago, maybe even last week, but that is not what I want to do, because when you pass fast, you blow your account fast, okay? And we are doing this for the long game. We are playing the long game, okay? This is a career that we are taking seriously, and we are becoming profitable traders, okay? So thank you guys for tuning in to another video, and I'll see you in the next one.